Welcome everybody to Star Power Half Hour, and I am very happy to have Dylis Guyan. Am I pronouncing your name right?
Nearly, Guyan.
Oh, Guyan. No, that's a big difference.
Yes,
Dylis Guyan here, and I'm going to introduce you, and then we're just going to get down and get started. So let me tell you a little bit about her. She worked as a top performing sales director for a major UK bank assurance company. And in 2000, she set up her own business as a sales and sales management consultant. She won projects with Zurich, Aviva, Barclays, Barclay Card, Pepe Jeans, Thornton's PLC, and many more. So big companies. And she has international coaching clients and runs workshops for professional services business owners in the SME market. That stands for small and medium enterprise. Yes?
Enterprises, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
She is a highly sought after speaker and a course director for Chartered Institute of Marketing. And she's going to be talking about how you can attract your ideal clients with ease, how you can learn to avoid the three massive mistakes even smart business owners make that keep sales stagnant and profits paralyzed. And she spells that with an S.
Yeah.
I'm just teasing you. So become a supplier of choice and have clients coming to you. How marketing is selling in print. Learn how to write marketing material that speaks to your potential client and have them respond. Positioning versus prospecting. How to position yourself as the trusted expert and have clients seeking you out. So there's no more cold calling or telemarketing, knocking on doors or struggling with gatekeepers. And the importance of a strategy that will give you a steady flow of leads every day. So go ahead and take it away, Dylis. I'm excited.
Thank you very much, Ellen, and thank you so much for inviting me today. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. So welcome everyone to Attract Your Ideal Clients with Ease. So I'd like to start by asking you a question first of all. Would you like to have prospective clients coming to you because you are seen as the trusted expert and have an order book of sales that you've never experienced before? And more customers than ever having the opportunity to benefit from your product or service and at the same time making more money than you've ever made before. And I hope your answer to that is yes. Because by the end of our time together, I'm going to share, as Ellen said, the three biggest mistakes even smart business owners make that keep sales stagnant and profits paralyzed. But more importantly, I'm going to show you how to avoid those costly mistakes. And I'm going to give you some easy to follow practical strategies that you can use immediately to attract your ideal clients. And you know, the landscape has changed. Your customers are changing and the economy is unlikely to go back to where it was before the recession. Your customers are much more discerning now, much more demanding, and they want much more for their money. They are really looking for that trusted expert that can bring insights into their business, the trusted expert who understands their business, understands the world in which they operate, the marketplace in which they operate, that understands their competitors, and that can bring those valuable insights to help them to achieve their objectives and achieve their targets. And, you know, you must raise the bar because if you don't, your competition will. So if your phones are no longer ringing or not ringing as much as they used to, or customers are not responding to your marketing efforts, or your product or service is just not selling as much, or it might be that you just want to move your business up a level, then you are absolutely in the right place. Because if you want different results, you must do things differently. And this is something that I sort of harp on about all of the time. You know, you can think about doing something for as long as you like, but until you take action, nothing changes. So I'm going to say this again. If you want different results, you must do things differently. So let's just, if I could take a few minutes really just to share with you my background, just so you have context of who I am and why I might be worth listening to for the next half hour. I'm just going to take a drink before I do that.
Okay, me too.
So if you cut me in two, I've got, well, first of all, my name is Dylis Guyan. There's no Welsh, no French connection. I'm actually from a little village in the northeast of England, but I've lived in Oxford for the last 30 years. And if you cut me in two, I've got sales and sales management, marketing running through my veins. It's just what I have always done. So I started my career as a financial advisor. 9 months later, I was promoted to a field sales manager, and then about 5 years later, promoted to regional director, where I was managing 70 advisors, 7 field sales managers, and responsible for all of the bank branch targets, financial services targets in my region. And I loved it. Like, I loved it with a passion. And we were always in the top 5% in the country. And in 1999, in fact, we were top in the country. And people were even moving house to come and live in our region and work in our region because it had such a reputation. And in the January of 1999, we were at the conference and we won everything across the board. You name it, we won it. And by the May, my world just fell apart. My boss, who'd been my boss for 7 years, and I highly respected him, he was very motivational. He started this hideous harassment campaign, and to cut a very long story short, I couldn't fix it. I tried, but couldn't fix it. And I thought, right, you've 2 options, Dylis. You either shut up and put up, or you get out. And in my wisdom, single parent with 2 teenage children, I literally went from boardroom to bedroom and set up my own sales and sales management consultancy. And I put my plan together, and I knew I had to work with companies who could pay and would pay. So I went straight into the financial services, blue chip companies. And in my first year, I earned 6 figures from an absolute standing start with no contacts, no agency, no nothing. And I've worked with companies around the world, Europe, America, Canada, South America. But about 5 years ago, I think I'm only 27, but clearly I'm not 27. And I was shattered with the traveling. And I thought, I'm going to change my business model. And I'm going to bring my skills and knowledge to the smaller businesses who sell to other businesses but don't have a sales and marketing department to help them with those efforts. So I now deliver workshops, I have private coaching clients, and I've nearly finished my first online program, which it took me right out of my comfort zone, but I've thoroughly enjoyed doing it. So I'm going to be expanding on that in the future. So all in all, a very happy ending, and thank you, my boss, really, who put me through such stress, and it was such an awful time, but I certainly wouldn't be where I am today without that happening. And I'm not sharing all of this to brag in any way. It's really just to say to you, I've been, I've seen, I've done it in sales and marketing and selling to the businesses. There isn't very much that you could ask me that I won't be able to help you with. So let's get into it. So you're going to learn the top 3 mistakes that even smart business owners make that keep sales stagnant and profits paralyzed, and how to avoid them. And I'm going to give you these mistakes in reverse order, so 3, 2, 1. So mistake number 3 that I see is that people give up too soon. And what I mean by that is that many businesses and salespeople, by the way, will send out one piece of marketing material, maybe a letter, maybe an email, make one phone call, they get no response, and they move on and they give up. And if you give up too soon, you will become the victim of burnout and dread the next working day. But worse than that, you'll be scratching around looking for prospective clients to contact. And it's so easy to think that people aren't interested, but they're not saying no forever. It's just no, not right now. But people hear no, and they just think, oh, that's that then. Next, who am I going to contact next? And move on. And I'd like to share with you a personal experience of mine, just to demonstrate how important it is to make multiple contacts, and to then share some statistics with you. So a number of years ago, I received an email from a big company in America inviting me to a 3-day event in Orlando. Now, there wasn't much chance of me saying yes to fly to America to go to this event for 3 days from one email. But what happened from there excuse me, was that I then received a letter. How lovely to receive a letter, by the way, because we don't get many of those these days. Then I got another email. Then I got a postcard, and then I got a phone call. And on that phone call, I said yes. I said yes to going to Orlando. And in fact, I went with my husband. We paid for 2 lots of flights, the hotel, all of the associated costs. And the thing was that really was a great demonstration of how I moved forward. Every time I had a touch, metaphorically speaking, from this this person who was trying to sell this 3-day event, I moved forward because the marketing that was sent to me was full of benefits to me. It was like they were inside my head and could read my mind. And so I was intrigued, and I was drawn more and more towards it with each piece of marketing material. So that was my personal experience. Then I came across these statistics, and this is from research that was done by a guy called Chet Holmes, and he wrote the book The Ultimate Sales Machine. Brilliant book, by the way. And what came out of his research was that only 3% of your prospective clients are actively looking to buy right now. 30% at the bottom in that red section are not interested. It's highly unlikely that they're going to buy. But you've got 67% in the middle there, 7% of which are open to buying, but not looking right now. So that could be, let's say, a lady who's pregnant with a sports car, and she knows she's going to be buying, but she's not right now. She's not looking yet, but she will be buying when she has a baby and she needs a bigger car. In the pale blue section, the 30%, they are not thinking about it. They do know that they've got an issue, but if everything else is going on, they're so busy, they haven't got round to doing anything about it. And a great example of this is my son-in-law, who's a lawyer, and we were talking about his printing machines, and he was telling me how they kept jamming and the time it was taking. But he was so busy with everything else, he just didn't get round to thinking about making the change. And the next 30% in that purple section are people who don't think they're interested because they don't really know about your product or service. And a great example of this is my husband, who used to be in the Marines, and he has a problem with his hearing. And we used to have the television up at full tilt until one day he read in this magazine about these TV ears. And they're like these things that they're a wireless gadget, and you connect them to your television. And so we have normal sound now, and he has his TV ears in. He would have fitted into that section of 30% who didn't think he was interested because actually he didn't know that it was available. So what this is saying to you is, if you just go after that 3%, so these are probably leads that are coming into your business from people who are interested in your product or service, you will very possibly get into a price war because you'll be up against competitors, because the chances are they're going to be looking at different providers of your product or service. That 67% in the middle, if you can educate them with your marketing, just like the guy who was sending me the information to go to his event in America, he was educating me with every piece of his marketing, with talking about the problems that I had and the benefits that I would get by going to his event. So this, again, is just really confirming how important it is not to give up too soon, because the people, they will move through a cycle, and it might be that in the 7% they will, because you're keeping in touch, you've created that top of mind thinking, and in the other 60% the education itself moves them to come to you and look at your product or service. And then the last statistics I'd like to share with you is some statistics from the National Sales Executive Association that said 48% of people never follow up with a prospective client. How hideous is that? 25% never make a second contact, and 12% only make a maximum of 3 contacts and stop. What they also said was that only 2% of sales are made on the first contact. only 2%, and 80% of sales are made between the 5th and 12th contact. So if you are only making contact with your prospect once, then you are leaving 98% of business on the table for your competitors actually to come along and pick up, because you've done some initial groundwork there. So my question is, how many prospective clients are you losing just because you gave up too soon? So here's what to do. Create a written multiple contact strategy that includes both online and offline activities. We've never had as many opportunities now to get in touch with our clients. And, you know, we've got letters, emails, postcards, telephone calls, social media, ads, you name it. There is a plethora of marketing opportunities. So have your written multiple contact strategy, vary your methods of follow-up, and highlight different benefits so that you're adding to that, that education for your client. And you will create that top-of-mind thinking where your customers will remember you when they think of your product or service. So just to recap, never assume the answer is no forever. Often what you perceive as a no is really just no, not right now. And as Brian Tracy said, sometimes your greatest asset is simply your ability to stay with it longer than anyone else. So that's mistake number 3. So let's move on to mistake number 2. No customer focus. And what I mean by that is when businesses are trying to attract new customers, their message is often focused on the features of their product, or it's all about me, or it's all about my company. And I took these examples from real websites. We are solicitors who've been in business for 25 years. Well, who cares? You could have been in business for 25 years and been very mediocre. I love this one. We specialize in visioning, team building, and strategy development. Now, which of your clients wake up in the middle of the night with that business worry that we get, thinking, I know what I need some visioning? I don't think there's many people will be thinking that. And here's another one. We're a financial services company who deliver a responsive service, supply you with commercially sound, proactive advice, and build long-term relationships. Again, who cares? It doesn't resonate. It will just go over people's heads. Because your customers don't really want to spend money on your product or service. What they want are the results that your product or service will bring. They want their problems solved. They want to achieve their objectives by using your product or service. And, you know, it was the same in the early days in financial services. And I realized very, very quickly, actually, that nobody wanted a life assurance policy or a pension or a life assurance, an investment. What they wanted was a financial safety net that would replace their income if it stopped for whatever reason, whether that was death, sickness, or critical illness. And they wanted that financial safety net that would allow them to pay their bills and all of their financial commitments. That was what they wanted. So in review, if your message is focused on you or your company and your product or service, then your potential client won't read it, listen to it, or buy it. Your marketing messages must answer the questions that are bothering them, so they are relevant and it resonates with them. So how to apply this concept? So step 1. First of all, get into the shoes of your ideal client and make a list of problems that your clients might be experiencing now or could experience in the future without your product or service. And then take those problems and write down the impact it's having on them and their business. And this gives you then the foundation to craft your marketing messages. And you will craft them in this way. So this is step 2. So address your clients' problems in all of your marketing efforts in these 4 areas. So firstly, grab their attention. Why should I read or listen to you? Raise their interest. I call this lighting the fire. Why should I believe you? And then create that desire. Why should I do anything about what you are offering? And then that most important call to action. Why should I act now? So talk to your prospects in terms of problems you can solve, how you can meet their objectives or enhance their lives, or prevent pain. So change your focus from you and become totally 100% customer focused. This is, I bang my drum all the time about people being focused on the customer, on the client, not on themselves, and stop product dumping and feature selling and start solution selling and become that trusted advisor where you are bringing those valuable insights and start attracting those ideal clients with ease, because it will change the face of your business completely when you look at this in this way. So just to recap, don't give up too soon. Remember, 80% of sales are made between the 5th and 12th contact. So you need a multiple marketing strategy, and all of your marketing messages must be customer focused. So that's mistake 3 and mistake 2. So now let's have a look at mistake number 1. And I see this so very often. No marketing strategy. And what I see is people being involved in tactics. So let's see what I mean here. Marketing is lead generation. It's attracting more of your ideal clients with messages that resonate with them. And a strategy is a method or a plan chosen to bring about a desired future result. And the tactics are the things that you put in place, like blogging, social media, making phone calls, placing ads, sending emails, networking, videos. As I said, there are so many ways, marketing activities that you can get involved in. Finding the right strategy, or should I say the right strategy, crafting that right strategy, makes any tactic work better. And the right strategy puts less pressure on executing your tactics perfectly, as said by Seth Godin. And without a strategy, your tactics will end up being a lot of random activities without purpose. And what will happen is you get lost in the noise that's out there. It is such a noisy place out there. And you'll end up getting the same results as you've always got. And in fact, you could get worse results if all you're doing is tactics without a strategy. And you'll end up becoming overwhelmed and dejected, and you'll have exactly what you have now, but you'll degrade the energy and enthusiasm that you had for your business when you first started. But what I see so very often is businesses where they suffer from these peaks and troughs of cash flow. And the sad statistics are that 80% of businesses fail because of that poor cash flow. And I'd really just like to share quickly a story about my client Anne, who was nearly burnt out when I met her, totally committed and passionate about what she does, but she wasn't getting anywhere near the income that she wanted. And she was absolutely the best kept secret I've ever met. And she was busy, you know, with blogging, and she was doing videos, she was sending emails, she was networking, but it was like it was just all disappearing out into the ether because it was so random. She didn't know who her ideal client was, and the messages were so generic that they actually didn't land with anyone. She had no plan, no strategy. And so it's no good doing the same things and expecting this, different results. So here's your basic strategy. First of all, make sure that you have written a clear plan for your business. And there was some research done by Harvard Business School, and they researched students who'd gone through the school and had, I think it was 10 years later, and they found that only 3% of their students had written a plan. And those 3% were earning more than the other 97% put together. So that alone has to give you confidence in taking time to write a plan. And at the end, we're going to do Q&A, and I would like to ask how many of you have actually got your plan written down so that you know where you're going. And, you know, so that you know this is the next step, this is the next step, this is what I'm going to do, rather than randomly being all over the place like my client Anne. And then the next thing is to define and research your ideal client. And it's so important to understand who your ideal client is. I don't know whether I've got time to, have I time, Ellen, to tell a story about this?
I don't know how many more slides you have, so it's hard for me to know.
Okay, 3.
Yeah, sure.
I'll
Go
tell
ahead.
you.
Quick story.
Okay,
Yep.
okay, quick story. Son-in-law started his business as a carpenter builder. And after a little while, I said to him, how's it going? And he said, I am sick to death. He said, I've got clients who, he said, they ask me for a quote and I spend hours putting the quote together only to find out they've got no money. Or they want additional jobs doing throughout the job, but they don't really want to pay for it at the end. Late payers, and I'm having to spend time chasing these late payers. He said, or doing jobs that actually I don't even like doing. He said, and worse, he said, I realise that I'm doing jobs that are not as profitable as they should be. I said, right, okay then, so tell me about the people that you love working with. He said, oh, I love working with Mr. and Mrs. this, the roof light company, so on. So. And he gave me about 5 or 6 people that he loved working with. And I said, right, let's sit down and look at the commonalities and work out why you love working with these people so much. Who are they? How do we identify them? And it turned out they were all over 40, all professional, all earning over £50,000, all living in the affluent villages in a 20-mile radius from where he lives. All of the jobs were profitable. They all paid in on time. They all valued what he did, and they all gave him repeat and referral business, and they all absolutely loved him and paid promptly. All of the things that he was dissatisfied with the majority of his clients. And so then my daughter, who does all of the kind of marketing and stuff, she started focusing her marketing on the villages where those affluent clients lived. But in addition to that, what I said to them was, I want you to stand in the shoes of one of your ideal clients and tell me what their thought process is when they're going to have a beautiful oak conservatory built. What are their concerns? And so we listed those out, and Helen puts that into what she calls her value letter, and that goes out with every quote that they send out. And their business, you wouldn't recognise it actually. They now have lads working for them, and it just went on an upward trajectory like that because they understood who their ideal clients were, and then they could create compelling marketing messages to include the 4 essentials that I just mentioned before. They put a multiple marketing strategy together. So they do, they send letters, they send emails, they have a big ad in a magazine that goes out to these affluent people. And they've got all sorts of stuff going on to bring people in and to be able to give quotes. And they're now at the point, and they've got men working for them, but they're at the saturation point now. So they're doing so well. His next step is to actually start developing and buy some land and build. So let me just recap a second. Clear written plan. Define your ideal client and create a list of who those ideal clients are. Get into their shoes and understand what the problems are and the impact of those problems. And that goes into your multiple, they're your messages that will go into your multiple marketing strategy. Once someone then raises their hand and says, hey, yeah, I'm interested, then you have an effective sales conversation. And that doesn't mean, pushy, sleazy sales tactics with putting someone's arm up their back, forcing them to buy from you. Good sales conversations are about taking someone from a position of interest to a position where they want to buy from you because you have asked them questions and they themselves have identified that they need to do something. Once you have a client, then it's really important that you implement a repeat and referral strategy. It takes a lot of work to get a new client. So it's important that you look after them, that you have a touch program to keep in touch with your existing clients, and that you build in a referral strategy with those existing clients. And lastly, track and measure your results. Critical. You need to know what's working and what's not working. You need to know where you are in the process of marketing to your clients. Where's the point that the sweet point that you bring clients in? What are your results? What's the sales value, average sales value for a client? When you know that then helps you decide on how much you're going to spend on your marketing, for example. Now, of course, I could spend hours talking to you about all of this, but in this half hour, I hope I've given you enough for you to be able to see how you can clearly start and attract your ideal clients with ease. And for you to grow your business and to live your life stress-free. Because when you get into that place, it's a place of joy. It really is, when you've got everything working like a well-oiled machine. So if you would like some help to massively grow your business, I've got a couple of free resources here for you. One is 21 surefire ways to find your ideal client, and you'll get that by going to my website, www.dylisguyan.com, and there's a sign-up page to the right on there for you to get that. That will give you 21 ways of finding your ideal client, but it will also talk to you about how to profile your client, how to actually profile an ideal client. And the other complimentary gift I would like to give you is a 30-minute business strategy call. And this is where we will look at create a vision for your business for the next 12 months, look at ideally what you want your business to look like. We'll identify any challenges that might stop you achieving that, and you'll go away feeling energized and motivated and a high-level strategy that you can then start to put in place. And if you want further help from me, then I can talk to you about that if you'd like me to. But that certainly isn't part of this, or it's not essential that you work with me further. This complimentary session is a 30-minute standalone. And to get that, if you go to www.dylisguyan.com/contact. So I hope I've given you some good ideas there in terms of being able to improve your business and give you the business that you're looking for.
So I wanted to say, Dylis, that this was really good. It's not that I haven't heard some of this stuff before, but you put it together in a very complete and logical way. So I found it really helpful myself, actually.